Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Good afternoon, Solomon.
Good afternoon.
Did I have a wonderful day yesterday? It was fantastic. It was full of gifts and joy and blessings. It was full of love. People coming and knocking on the door and bringing pots of good food and bringing cars, wishing for success and wishing someone a good day. And it wasn't even my birthday. So my point is that what we have to do, in my opinion, is to ask ourselves each morning, what's in my wallet? Now, everyone understands that phrase. Everyone understands that Fifth Avenue slick, that selling, that success as far as money and material gain is concerned, and travel miles is concerned, and the ability to accumulate is concerned. But what was so clear to me yesterday was having people, knowing people, being people who love you, who are thinking only of kindness and thinking only of what they can do for you that makes your life better, more abundant in kindness and compassion, and free from the struggles, the belief that the world is adversarial, that there's no happiness, that there's only hatred, there's only just obstacles in the world. There's nothing better to do, in my opinion. There's no exercise better to do than to sit, take a breath, and watch what's on your mind. And you will notice that because mind is chief, I have the ability, the creative permission to choose what I'd like to think about and I'd like to see in my mind, in my heart, in my compassion, in my kindness. I'd like to see what my world looks like. I don't have to go on CNN and be told how the world is, but I can only take the time, all I have to do is take the time to go into my own heart, to watch my own mind, to see what I'm focusing on, and to remind myself and to witness the fact that what's in my mind is what I think is there. And as long as I think that life sucks, that's what's going to happen. As long as I think that I need a reward to do good. I was watching a show that talked about the youngster who was shot out in California. And it was like, well, we're offering a reward, we're offering money for someone to come and let us know who did this deed. And it seems to me that there's also a portion of mind, a portion of heart that tells me that I don't need to be paid to do what is right and to do what is kind and compassionate. That the reward for doing those things are in itself a reward. So see what's in your mind. See what you are inclined to do, wish for, and hope for. And if you are looking for kindness and compassion in your life, you find what you are looking for. You find what you think is there. And there is nothing better than to relax, to employ the far-reaching insight that lets you know that in your garden, in your heart, in your consciousness, in your mind, everything is present. And it depends upon what you think you're going to find as to what you will find. There is no magic to this at all. There's just the insight and the experience of seeing that consciousness contains everything that we are aware of, everything that we know about. And it is up to me to make the determination as to what I want to call on, what I want to see, what I want to share. And because we get the instructions that all I need to do is to focus on, to look at, to turn to what is strengthening, what is beneficial, what is taken as love and kindness and acceptance of others and myself. And when I employ those techniques, I not only find that my world gets better, my wallet gets fatter, but I also know that this energy is felt by those around me, those who I extend it to, and therefore I practice on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on a minute-by-minute basis, the extended capacity to generate a place, a field, a force of loving kindness and abundance to myself and all living beings around me. That when you do that, you will find no lack of well-being and kindness that others feel, that others not only expect, but are privileged to when they encounter someone who is practicing that. And it's contagious, because once you find it, once you see the simplicity of it, then that also encourages you to share with others, to fix a pot of stew, to pick some collard greens, to make sure that whatever it is that's in your heart and your mind and your wallet, you will remind yourself to share with all around you, because there is no lack of abundance. There's no place of running out of scarcity. But it is all there for you to allow others to witness and to see. And to promote a space of peace and abundance and well-being for all of those who are so inclined to reach for it, to embrace it, and to understand that the responsibility is to just allow it very lightly to skip your hands and go into the hands and the hearts of others. That's all you do. You just let it go. You don't hold on to it. You witness it. You acknowledge it. But then you allow it to flow and to go to the next person and the next person. And you ask yourself, who deserves this today? Certainly not me, because all I did today was grumble about how sad the world is, how crazy it is, how violent it is. And I've just gone around my kitchen walls, my bedroom walls, my house, my yard, grumbling about how this energy, this reality needs to be invested with compassion and kindness, when all I see around me is compassion and kindness. And once I acknowledge it, hold on to it, let it go, share it with those around me, make sure that as soon as I'm aware of it, I get up, knock on the door, and say, would you like some of this? Someone brought this to me, I want to share. Someone brought it to them, they shared it with me and others. And because the flow of it, the reward of it is not to hold on to it, but to pass it on, to allow others to feel it, to allow others to be aware of it. You don't have to express what it is, you just bring it, offer it, and walk away. And it just keeps moving through, it keeps its momentum, it keeps its strength, it keeps its attitude of well-being. And please remember this, that there is no lack in this reality, only the lack that you create by thinking that there is a lack, by not giving it, not allowing it to flow through you and on to the next minute, to the next person, to the next country. Take the time to be thankful. Take the time to look at what it is you have, what it is that you're holding, what's in your heart, what's in your mind, what's in your wallet, and then make sure that you are a steward of this goodness, this abundance, and that you immediately let go and think of another who you would like to share this with, who you know through the other's hard work, their well-being, that they also would like to see this come to their reality. Give it to them. Don't look back and see what they're doing with it, because they will definitely understand that this is to be shared, and this is not mine, but it belongs to everybody, all beings, both sentient and non-sentient. And get busy and get to work and make sure that you knock on the door, ring a bell, make a call, share what you have, And the more you share, the more you'll have because of the fiscal responsibility of compassion and kindness. So, any questions? Does everyone understand how it works? How many have worked it today, this morning? Besides Bill. Bill works it all the time. He's all around town sharing. Yes? Did you?
Yes, I did. My mom's visiting, who's 89, and our son's home, and Joe and I kind of made room for both of them today. And they're sharing breakfast, and Joe was helping our son transition and relaunch, and it's lovely. So, yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I'm correct, I established it also in the essence of giving of your time and your compassion and your forgiveness and your energy and just radiant joy for other beings. And I've been able to hold that very dearly during this school year, especially in the last 6 weeks, just to extend a hand of love and compassion through a text and a phone call to someone who I felt really needed to know that.
The text and the phone call is certainly a result of thinking about someone else. You know, it's like it's almost anticlimactic. The joy and the work comes from, first of all, realizing that I've got something to share. That I've been blessed with a kindness and a compassion that has been much more than I need for myself as an individual. And it encourages me and encourages others to start to ask the question, who do I know that would like some of this? It's not who do I know that needs it. See, now because we're infusing into the thoughts of abundance, need, lack. But it's never in the lack. It's just like passing the bowl of saying, I've got some, I've dipped. Now let me pass this on to someone else that I know who I know also understands the law of passing on, the law of sharing, the law of puff, pass. I touched a few friends.
I should have understood that too.
Life is great. Life is great, for sure. So, without further ado, is anyone behind me that like to speak?
Yeah, because it's just 12:19.
Okay.
So, but I have to mention, when you talk about like passing the bowl, because when I was in church, like on the kind of church I went to, that was the greatest part of the service. Was we all came for the singing and the rejoicing and the well, they didn't do a Dharma talk, but the sermon. But the part that we got to participate, you don't have to put it on me, just leave it right there. Was when it came time for the offering, because the offering was not what we were receiving at that time. It was what we were giving, and the whole church would like just light up. And as soon as we heard the first chord of the offering song, and they were always steppy songs, but it was a joy. It was like your heart would leap because you had an opportunity to give. So sometimes when we're not training at something, we don't know what it means. But when we're actually training at it, from the inside, from the training side, we come to know the value and the benefit of something when people are looking from the outside and they make their own assessments about what it is. But as soon as that chord struck and that this was my opportunity, to share of my fruits, such a joy would well up, But and I tried to convey that to our Buddhist congregation, and they couldn't get it, not at all. That whole sense of generosity was like, well, I might give this week and not give mine once a month, and then I don't have anything to put in the bowl, and people think I'm not giving. I mean, their minds were in a whole different space, instead of where it could be to experience the joy of sharing. And so this year I'm going to bring it back because it is so needed in this world to, at this particular time, to be able to experience the joy. Like I'm listening to what you just said. It's not like who needs, but who wants some of this? Who can I give some of this to? Not about who needs, but it's about me wanting to offer, and the great joy that it brings about. So it took me back to a very sweet time when people didn't seem to be so hung up around what they gave, and I don't know. But what I can say is that it filters out in your whole life. That's what I mean. When somebody comes and gives me something in Dharma, before I'm left-handed, so I receive it in the left hand. But as soon as it comes in the left hand, it's going to the right hand and it's passing off to someone. So if you give me something and you really want me to hold on to, you're going to give me something and you want me to really hold on to it, I'm going to tell you, don't give it to me, because when you come back and ask for it in about 2 weeks, I've already passed it on to somebody else. And in that way, we keep a certain kind of flow that gives us a spaciousness, but so that giving, that offering is actually a training for how to free oneself, one's own heart and one's own mind, and then you find yourself in a place where you're never thinking of lack, because you're never holding on to anything, never thinking anything is yours. And there's a freedom of, there's just such an inner freedom, not being bound by things or having to gather and collect things, that it is to be experienced by the wise. So don't always evaluate every action as an action, but just as a training for how one can free one's heart and free one's mind, because that's what the purpose is for all of these methods and all of these things we do on a surface level. It all runs so deep. It's just how deep will you take it, in seeking your own liberation. The only thing we need to be liberated from is not from things. We need to be liberated from that sense of a personal self that needs so much protecting and maintaining and maintenance and holding on to and concretizing and all of those things. So thank you very much for your talk this morning. You can tell that it inspired me. So this whole year, we're practicing, it's called 52 Weeks of Transformation, because we're trying to take a small thought, a small concept, and actually see how we work it out in our life every day, you know. So not like just a talk like and thinking about it, but how have I activated that today, or if not today, this week, and just looking to see how we put the Dharma into practice. In the West, we like to talk about it. We like to have discussions. You know, we like to do all of that, but doing the actions, you know, instead of thinking about the actions, but really matters, and that's also where the joy comes from in your life. So I usually am not one that does a lot of opening up for discussion because I don't want to hear blah blah. I just want to hear what the Buddha has to say, and then that's it. But this year, you know, we're really opening up. Joe shared something that actually had, I think Joe was in tears, and he actually had some of us who listened to his testimony in tears. Now, I know we don't talk about testimony too much in Buddhism, do we? But it was really that. It was a testimony of how he was applying the Dharma correspondence of self and others are equal last week, you know. And when he started thinking about having to apply patience to the conversation of another, but the minute he turned his mind to self and others are equal, how it completely transformed him. You know, it may have done something for the other person too, but for him, how it transformed him in that moment. And he was so filled with compassion, you know, and a sense of freedom the minute that he thought in his mind that the other person was equal to himself. And he said, and then he did the next correspondence, consider others before self. And so you can't consider others before self until you at least get to self and others are equal, you know. And if you don't know what those mean, read what is cultivation. And it was so inspiring because he gave a year to that practice. And I can see how it has transformed him from the inside out, softened, and that's the energy. That energy is like a sweet perfume, you know, that it's what emanates off of you. So when we embody something, you know, we don't even have to say so much. There's an emanation. It emanates off of you. And if you're in a room with somebody who's wearing, you know, a really strong perfume, you know, it gets in your clothes, it gets in your skin, and you can walk away from there. And that same perfume, I don't need it, thank you. That same perfume has enveloped you. And that's what happens when we actually embody the Dharma and not just talk about it. We become like a sweet smelling perfume. And every place we go, you know, people are impacted by it. And unconsciously, it gets on them and it gets in them. And that's how we change the world, not so much what we are requiring that they do, the changes that they make, but just the changes that we make.
Is there anyone else who would like to share? Then again, what we're working with is the very simplistic formula that says, mind is chief, mind made all we. What we think and ponder on becomes the inclination of our mind. And that's the total expression of that law. And so it requires and encourages us to think about the positive, compassionate well-being of others, not of ourselves, but of others, and allowing it to emanate and flow, and like Panwati says, to create the energy and the aroma of giving, sharing, and abundance. And so it requires that we spend time each day modifying and correcting the direction of inquiry, the questions that require we look deep into ourselves to see what it is we have to give, have to give, and then the situations that will offer us the opportunity to give what it is we've discovered we have. So unless we believe we have it, we won't look for it. And if we don't look for it, we don't have it because we haven't validated the presence of it. There is a impotency when we go around feeling that we got it because somebody told us we did. And there is the direct insight that informs us that we truly do have it, and we have it in abundance. And no matter how much we give it away, no matter how much we share it with others, there seems to still be plenty there for the next group who comes through. But if we don't employ the method of constantly looking inside ourselves, into our heart, to know that it's present, to know that we have it, we will always feel a sense of lack and an inability to pass on what it is that we perceive ourselves to have, because we think that if I pass this on, then there will be nothing left. But it's only in practicing every day, the looking for it, the discovery of it, and the informative, the information that tells us who we should take it to, who we should make the offer to. And it doesn't necessarily require that that person agree. That person might feel that they, at this time, don't need what it is that you're sharing. But the point is, you started it in rote, you started it in play. You have opened the gates to where it is available for the person that you've offered it to, and for the people that they might offer it to, even though they don't have an inclination at this time to offer it to anybody. That's not your responsibility. That's their responsibility. Your responsibility is to let it be known that it's here and available. That's all you have to do. Which means that you have to take time to look into your heart, to see the presence of it, to witness the presence of it, so that you will know for certain that it's there and available whenever you need it and whenever the world needs it. And that's all is you have to do. And that's what the next half of this gathering is for. It's for all of us to take a few minutes to look into our mind and hearts. And by the way, those two things operate together, consciousness and heart consciousness. And to make sure that you are inclined or aligned with all we've talked about this morning, which is the simplicity of compassion and kindness and sharing and love and value and thankfulness. All the same stuff, all the same thing, all falls from the same tree. Even the scripture that tells us to love our enemies, to love them, to pray for those who despise and persecute us. It tells us to give it to everybody. There's no discrimination. There's nothing but, I see you, here's what I've got, take what you need, and I'll see you the next time you need someone. So thank you all so much for being who you are. We will continue to work on developing the capacity to have insight, to see the presence of all that is necessary to heal the world, and then to go and share with others. Thank you all so very much. Okay, let's take the opportunity to look inside and find it within ourselves, and to make sure it's there before we leave today, so that we'll have the ability and the inclination to share it with others that we meet and greet during this wonderful day in wonderful Hendersonville, North Carolina.
So we have a gift for you. The Buddha talks about breathing in and out. We train in joy, and talks about how joy is a mental factor that allows us to enter into concentration. So we're going to teach you like a roundabout song today.
There's a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding deep within my soul. To be a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding is the highest goal. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum. 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 There's a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding deep within my soul. There's a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding is the highest goal. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum. 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 There's a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding deep within my soul. To be a jewel in the lotus flower unfolding is the highest goal. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Hum Mani Padme Hum.
That was as much a surprise as the pots of food yesterday. Boy, this is great. May all beings delivered from suffering, may they be well, may they be happy, may they be peaceful. Continue to keep in your hearts and minds the population of India and population of Brazil and population of Arkansas. Let's hope that everyone is successful in keeping himself well and helping others to survive this pandemic. Thank you for coming. We love you. We will see you all very soon. God, in peace.